Good evening, everyone. Ready or not, and with nearly 1 million confirmed COVID-19 cases in the U.S. since the start of this outbreak, parts of America are moving on tonight. The simple touchstones of life as we remember it, from shopping in a store to dining at a restaurant, rapidly returning in a country dividing over how far to go to halt the spread of the virus, which has claimed over 55,000 lives here. Once again, our team is in place, and we begin with Blaine Alexander.
Tonight, a glimpse of life altered as more states start the process of getting back to work.
It's going to be very exciting.
In Mississippi, the governor revised the state's stay-at-home order, allowing retail stores to reopen.
Everybody who has come in has made a purchase today, so that's been exciting.
In Texas, the governor announcing he is not renewing his stay-at-home order, meaning all restaurants and retail stores can reopen Friday at 25% occupancy. Childcare facilities and summer camps can open their doors as quickly as possible.
A more strategic approach is required to ensure that we don't reopen only to have to close down again.
In Oklahoma, for this pet groomer, the green light came just in time.
We were going to be broke. I mean, the real broke.
Now clients are dropping off their pets in a big kennel out front.
So your customer isn't even coming inside the store. They're just dropping their dog.
Yeah, I feel like right now that makes them feel the safest.
In Tennessee, bigger cities are staying shut, but 89 of the state's 95 counties are allowing restaurants and retail stores to reopen at 50% capacity. The lunch crowd here at Puckett's in Franklin is starting to come back. NBC's Katie Beck is there.
The overall feeling is gratitude. We are so grateful to get our associates back to work.
And here in Georgia, dine-in restaurants and movie theaters joined salons, tattoo parlors, and bowling alleys across the state allowed to open their doors. At J. Christopher's in Atlanta, a slow trickle of customers, but the ones we talked to are thrilled.
How did it feel to be back inside a restaurant today?
Oh, wonderful.
But at historic Pascal's restaurant, the owner is keeping the dining room dark.
We've been in this neighborhood for over 60 years. So really weighing what is best for our community. So we felt that it was best in their best interest for us to remain closed.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp faced bipartisan criticism for his decision to reopen the state.
I wasn't happy with Brian Kemp.
Can you tell us specifically what data you used to determine that this was the safest choice?
Well, I know it may be hard for NBC News to understand this, but all the data is publicly available on the Public Health Department's website. I mentioned a lot of it today about our ramp up in testing.
Also announcing they're lifting lockdowns, Iowa and Colorado, now joining 8 other states starting to reopen. None have met recommended White House guidelines for a 2-week decline in cases. Tonight, new moves to reopen while still facing many unknowns. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Atlanta.
I'm Miguel Almaguer. From the shores of Florida to the beaches of California, tonight this is what quarantine fatigue looks like as Americans leave home amid stay-at-home orders.
We think all the beaches should be open.
In San Diego, minutes after beaches opened today, a wave of surfers hit the water, and for some, a flood of concern on shore. The City Council in Newport considering a weekend closure to beaches after 40,000 flocked here during a heat wave.
Those images are an example of what not to see. People, what not to do. This virus doesn't take the weekends off.
The local battle over public beaches where some are closed and others are open in neighboring communities is funneling large crowds into the same area, making it difficult to social distance.
From packed parks in Georgia to crowded greenways in Hawaii, a new study suggests more Americans are spending less time at home. Doctors on the coronavirus task force say social distancing will extend through the summer.
Out here, this is safer than it is in the grocery stores.
With nearly 1 million confirmed coronavirus cases in this country, the death toll is set to soon surpass 60,000. Doctors still describe the fight against the virus as bedlam.
It's really hard to grasp the severity of the problem.
Dr. Karen Friedman worries if Americans don't stay home, ERs will be overrun.
Patients are still sick, they're still dying, and if we reopen too quickly, everything is just going to spike again.
Tonight, the push from doctors to stay home, worried the tide could turn in the wrong direction. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Santa Monica.
And tonight, there is a heartbreaking loss in the front lines of this fight. A well-known ER doctor here in New York who battled to save the lives of so many others Her family now says she has taken her own life after describing the horrors she saw. We get more now from NBC's Stephanie Gosk.
Today, a tragedy of a different magnitude among the ranks of health workers who have treated the sickest of the sick. Dr. Lorna Breen, an emergency room doctor at New York's Presbyterian Hospital, took her own life. In a statement to NBC News, her father said, like the many heroes that are still there, she was in every way in the trenches of this war, fighting the effects of this COVID virus that she contracted herself. Dr. Breen survived the virus, but it was the grueling work, her father says, that took a grave toll. Life and death struggles are part of the job at any hospital. But for many health workers, the coronavirus experience has been more difficult and more emotional.
I wish I had known the type of emotional havoc this would have caused on my life, the lives of my colleagues and my patients.
Dr. Rishi Ratan spoke to NBC News last week from the University of Miami.
It's hard not to take your work home with you. I sit at home reliving each death, each delay in my head.
Nurse Ashley Way struggles with the same thing.
I would say that was probably my toughest day because I've never had to see anything like that ever. Not having someone at their side while they're sitting there dying.
Some of the healthcare workers worry that what they are seeing now will affect them for life.
The risks for their mental health are exhaustion, isolation, and anxiety. And that mix by itself really heightens the risk of everything else.
Tonight, Dr. Lorna Breen's father tells NBC News she was, in every sense of the word, a hero who gave her life for her friends and city. A casualty, he says, of this virus, just like so many thousands of others. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, New York.
Our thoughts are with Dr. Breen's family tonight. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. And as we continue on tonight, there is a stark warning from one of the country's biggest meat companies. Tyson Foods says there will be limited supplies of its products in stores because of plant closings, and says the food supply chain is breaking. We get more on that from NBC's Gotti Schwartz.
Tonight, signs that a critical link in the nation's food supply chain might be cracking, as some meat processing plants around the country have become COVID-19 hotspots. So far, over 1,000 employees of meat processing giants like Tyson, JBS, and Smithfield have tested positive for the virus, forcing the temporary closure of at least 15 plants. Some employees, like this worker at an Iowa Tyson plant, are scared to show their face because they don't want to lose their jobs, but are even more terrified of getting sick.
They didn't have enough material or masks and things like that to provide to us, so they would start giving us different types of rags and stuff.
Earlier today in Indiana, officials declared a public health emergency as Tyson closed another plant in Cass County due to COVID-19 cases.
This order is necessary to end this threat to the city as quickly as possible.
Tyson Food telling NBC News all employees are now provided surgical-style face coverings, but warning customers in a full-page ad that there will soon be a limited supply of their products, saying the food supply chain is breaking. All of it worrying third-generation Texas cattle rancher Missy Bonds.
The uncertainty of the market is unsettling because we don't know what's going to happen when it comes time for us to sell.
In Colorado, some 6,000 employees at the JBS meat processing plant in Greeley wait in line to be screened for symptoms before being allowed in for their shift. Many learning that a fifth employee here has died from the coronavirus.
It kind of scares me and it makes me angry that the company is willing to open without testing people.
In early April, the factory closed for nearly 2 weeks after over 100 employees tested positive for COVID-19. Workers promised testing for all before they reopened, but that never happened. JBS said in part in a statement to NBC News, "We took the aggressive action to voluntarily close the plant, assuming the entire workforce was positive and subject to quarantine. Public health officials agree this is the most effective way to break the chain of infection. But unions say more testing is needed immediately."
We understand the critical job that they do, but we don't want workers losing their lives. They did not sign up for this. They signed up to process meat.
And Lester, as for the screening out here, many of these employees say that their biggest fear right now is of those asymptomatic workers who may make it through that screening process showing no fever, no signs or symptoms, and get onto the processing floor with COVID-19 and spread it without even knowing it. Lester?
All right, Gotti Schwartz tonight. Gotti, thank you. And for small businesses still desperate for federal help, a second round of emergency funding opened today with another $310 billion in loans being made available. But once again, many were frustrated by technical issues as they tried to apply. And tonight, the L.A. Lakers are returning $4.6 million the team received during the first round of the program, joining a number of other well-known businesses that have done so. Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.